like animals.
Is that what you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah, work with zoo animals, a zoologist.
Kody was 2. We knew there was a problem. We just didn't know what the problem was. By 2.5, I was starting to look for help, but there was no early child development until 3. Kody was not diagnosed with autism until he was 8. So it was because he's very high functioning. He's really high functioning.
16-year-old Kody needs a caregiver from the time he gets home from school until his mom gets home from work.
And how many different caretakers have you had?
Probably around 40. Revolving door open, closing. Revolving caregivers.
That, you know, they say they're going to do the things that he wants to do, but then they don't do that. They just want to sit around watching TV or not go and do the things in the community that Kody wants to do or needs to do. Caregivers last summer, it was not a good summer. Things were not done. Things were not, you know, it was just, the last 2 summers have been very bad. If Kody's not kept on track, if he doesn't have a regular schedule, then he's out of whack. And when he's out of whack, then he has horrible days. And it just makes life really rough for us.
What are some of the issues that you have with the caregivers? Is it that you feel that they don't cater to you, or that your personalities are too different?
My personalities are too different, some of them.
What do you like doing with them?
I play my video games or go to the library.
Or fishing?
Yeah.
And I tell them that we're looking for a caregiver, and they will they email me their list, which they have a list of contacts, which is usually just emails and phone numbers, which I find that most of the time the emails are no longer in existence.
All self-directed employees are managed by the client. All the agency-directed employees are directed by me. So, different list. The reason people typically choose self-directed services versus agency-directed services is because the movement in our culture for the DD population, or the developmental disability population, is to have lots of independence. So the independence movement started back in the early 90s to say, don't let people tell you what to do in your home. So lots of case managers don't even talk to their clients about the agency-directed option. We did some agency-directed services for Kim, but that didn't necessarily always go so well. If I remember seeing him, he seems pretty big anyway, and he gets angry, and he punches a hole through the wall like he has done before, and he says, you know, I want to do something. You're not going to say no to him. If you're a typical direct support worker, which is a female, which is generally college students, you're going to be like, okay, we're going to do that. And then you're probably not going to come back necessarily. $9.25 or $8.98 or whatever it is per hour, that's the same you could get at McDonald's. Would you rather try to be dealing with someone's behavioral issues, which you've had no training for, or would you rather work at McDonald's? And there's career mobility there, at least. The turnover rate's much higher in self-directed services versus agency-directed. Agency-directed employees typically feel more supported because there's a whole management team here to support them.
We did have one girl that was with us for 3.5 years. But then she graduated from KU and moved on.
I had applied for a job at Trinity in-home care, which is it's just a company here in Lawrence that connects families or individuals with caregivers. And because I had been doing like home health since I was in high school, and when I moved up for college, I applied there. Harder for him was knowing that this person is temporary, and so he would act out a little more. And I think that's what also made it easier for me, was that when he realized that I wasn't going anywhere, he was like, okay, well, I can't really do these things because she's gonna come back. This isn't gonna make her leave. So he liked to go fishing. So we would always go fishing. And one of the biggest struggles was getting him to come home. And so we would go to St. Mary's Lake, which is kind of close to his house, and just be there all day. And then when it was time to clean up, he wouldn't want to leave, and so that was a big struggle. But we also had a lot of fun.
Cory's also very good in pep talking and keeping his spirits up and helping him with that. He's very good at encouragement, which is what Kody really needs.
Some days he has tutoring, so some days I go into the classroom with him and just kind of hang out and help if he needs help. And most of the time, Kody's pretty good, so he doesn't need a ton of help. He just needs someone to be around. So then we drive home, take him to his place, and there's just kind of a list of chores his mom wants him to get done. And so he kind of hang out with him and make sure he's getting those chores done. And prior to that, some days we have a deal where him and I we're working out because he's trying to do the Olympic, Special Olympic weightlifting stuff. So Mondays and Fridays we usually do that, and then other days it's kind of whatever Kody really feels like doing. So if he wants to hang out at home, I just hang out with him, and if he wants to go get something done, I go help him get something done. If he needs to go apply for a job, I help him go get a job.
It's a big relief. It really is. Kody's in a much better mood. And it makes a big difference for me to be able to come home from work and not have to deal with the stress of Kody being when Kody's in a foul mood because he's been frustrated with a caregiver and butting heads with a caregiver for 2 or 3 hours. It makes it really stressful for me to come home and be fighting with him. He's always going to need somebody to help him making sure that his bills are paid on time, balancing the checkbook, filling out applications. He's always going to need help with those certain things. I'm really anxious. I'm really, really worried.